applications. And thank you very much, Annette, for waiting so long. You wish to speak.
Yeah, three things actually. The first is, it came up earlier in the meeting regarding planning consultations and comments on the North Somerset Council website. And several people have asked me over different planning applications recently, and I didn't know the answer. But can you remember when you used to make a comment years ago, your name and address used to come up? Now, not even the name comes up.
I think what Annette's saying is, about the name, people's names used to come up, but basically...
Oh, that's right.
Sorry,
yes.
I hadn't actually finished. So the name doesn't come up now, but what the question I've got on this particular thing is that it seems that there's been some very similar worded comments. And I know some people, if they object to a planning application, they'll get lots of people on board to try and send off applications. So the question is, does North Somerset Council, so it seems from tonight you don't know who's commented, so does the North Somerset Council planning officer check whether the comments do they check? They do, so that one neighbour can't put it in twice against the same application.
Because it is something that we did ask when we had a meeting with somebody from the planning department, and this was something that was raised because obviously this has changed, and they was and we were told it was because of GDPR, and so we asked if they knew, and they said yes, they see who has written it. So they can tell if it's a neighbour, they can tell if it's somebody from Scotland or wherever. They know exactly who is writing in the comments.
Okay, and would they allow one neighbour to put in more than one comment? Because it does seem on one application recently that a neighbour put in another comment of objection, but slightly changed the wording, and then not until the end said he would have checked
that they came from the same person, and so they would be able to see that they had expanded their comments.
But the problem with town council, of course, you don't know that information, and so sometimes it looks like there could be 8 objections or support, yet there may not be 8 or so I think that's something perhaps the North Somerset Council needs to address, I think.
Can I say something?
We can actually see, when we look at them, sorry, Paddy, we can actually see if something is very similar, same comments.
Still very difficult, isn't it? Before I ask the other two things, does Paddy want to mention something?
Yeah, I was going to say, Annette, I did raise this. I objected to it because we did ask, could we at least be told if the comments were being made by Portishead residents? And we were told that was too difficult.
Crazy.
And you sometimes can tell if they're made by the same person because they use the same words. Sometimes you can't, but we have objected to it. They said you can't because of GDPR, and I think even if we were told that they were a neighbour or something, it would help us, but the answer was no.
Okay, thank you. The other two things very quickly, because I know you want to get home. Has anybody raised any concerns about the parking on the frontage of the shops and the fast food takeaways opposite the White Line? Oh, it's the old mill now. Opposite the old mill in Portishead High Street. I've witnessed some very near misses recently because the cars are parking, the delivery vehicles, for the pizza places and other sort of takeaways, parking on the pavement right by the zebra crossing, and they're reversing out directly onto the highway. Now, I'm not aware that that piece of land, the frontages outside those places, were actually for vehicles. And I don't know whether anybody else has raised it. I'm certainly happy to, but that's the one thing. And the other quick question was the cemetery car park down in NorthWeston. Perhaps Bob might be able to tell me. Is it a town council car park that's part of that cemetery, or is it local authority?
It was part funded by the town council along with North Somerset.
Okay, I'll tell you why I'm asking. It's just that we use...
And it is a car park to be used by the cemetery and the hall.
And the hall. The reason I'm asking is that when you leave the hall now at night, obviously with the evenings, that car park is very dangerous to go back to, because when you enter the car park from the pavement through the gate, honestly, you are just, I know you could take a torch, but you're actually, it's very dangerous. It's complete pitch black, and I didn't know how we would actually try and attempt to get a light there that would actually guide people back to the car park along that pathway. It's so bad now. I'd rather go in the main entrance and then walk back to the car, but it's still very dark. But that pathway in particular through the gate is really dangerous.
Yeah, I agree with you, and it's scary as well.
It is, yes, yeah.
Obviously, there's been several cars being broken into one day. Obviously, 3 cars were all broken into.
Oh, right. I wasn't aware of that. But
yeah. It's a very good point, Annette. Whether it's a solar power sensor one that might be a good idea to put out there.
Yeah, something would be useful.
Something to look into, yeah.
Okay, and just with regard to the frontages of those shops and the danger of cars, reversing out literally onto the zebra crossing, is there any sort of thing we can do about that?
If you want, I know the company that obviously the pharmacy company that delivers. I can contact them if you wish and have a chat with the management.
Sorry, which company, Bob? Sorry.
I know the pharmacy company that does that. Cause obviously,
it's not a pharmacy though. It's the pizza takeaway.
Yeah, it's also the pharmacy company that parks onto the pavement there as well.
There's not a pharmacy there though, Bob. It's the one. It's the parking opposite the old mill. Oh, do they? Okay. Yeah. Okay, it is very dangerous, and I've seen people going across the crossing, and all of a sudden they're reversing onto that crossing from the frontage of the pizza place, and it's very dangerous.
Yeah, that happened to me actually. There was
did it?
The other day I was just about to cross, but luckily the car saw me, so stopped. And then I crossed, and he then obviously came out, sort of behind me. But yes, that is a dangerous spot. They shouldn't be using that at all.
I don't know if it's something we can raise, because it's probably owned by Bristol City Council. I take it, is it the buildings?
I don't know who owns that shop, but I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't Bristol City Council.
If whoever it's owned by, it's still North Somerset's highway, so and pathways. They're responsible for the for it as a pathway. It has joint ownership, because the same issue happened outside Carey's with the. I was discussing it with the Zimmer frame, and although that area does belong to Carey's as the leaf, it's still highway, and North Somerset are responsible for that. So
the actual footpath, the public footpath, is obviously owned by North Somerset, which they would obviously have to cross to access the road. It's something that I'm sure that we can write to North Somerset and bring to their attention.
I'd appreciate if we could. I mean, I understand those businesses have got to survive, but at the same time, we don't want any accidents. I've seen too many near misses.
We are obviously concerned about being very, very close to the zebra crossing, and also people getting knocked over, and the parking issue, which they shouldn't be doing on there anyway.
Yeah, lovely. Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I would talk
actually,
to
Sue,